Have you been getting maybe a little bit tired of the same old boring stuff you've been drinking lately? Would you like to know that when you drink coffee, you are moving the needle for conservation and great causes for the fish species we love? Today, Joe at Anglers is back to introduce this and their program with the Mayfly Project to help out foster kids. This is the Wet Fly Swing podcast where we show you the best places to travel to for fishing, the best resources and tools that you will need while you're there, and how to give back to the fish species you love.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today.
Hey, I'm Dave, host of the Wet Fly Swing podcast. I've been fly fishing since before I can remember. I grew up around a fly shop and have created one of the largest fly fishing podcasts in the country. I've also interviewed more of the greatest anglers that you will know of from around this country and the world. Today, you will hear about the new blends Anglers has coming. All of them very amazing with this new trout art, high quality brown trout, rainbow trout. This is really good stuff. Plus, we're going to find out how you can connect with Joe and the team at upcoming shows, as we're right in the middle of show season right now. We're also going to discover the newest, highly caffeinated Stimulator blend. It's blasting off the water now. Let's check it out and get the update from Joe at Anglers Coffee. Right now, here's Joe, anglerscoffee.com. How you doing today, Joe?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. I'm excited to get an update here. I've been drinking your coffee for quite a while now, and I'm always excited to hear some new updates. So you got some new stuff coming in, and we're going to talk about that. You've got quite a bit going. It's show season is kind of going on right now. So, at this time that this is publishing, there's already a show that's been past us, but you got some stuff going on this week. So we're going to get an update on that and then just talk a little fishing. So maybe let's just hear right now. It's it's January 2024. As you look back at 23, what any changes with Anglers Coffee? Any updates you want to shout out to?
It was definitely another learning year for Anglers Coffee. Business grew substantially, so we really appreciate the customers out there that are sticking with us and coming to us. Going to pretty much, in terms of being out in the world, we're going to pretty much do again what we did last year. Stay busy on social media, do a few fly fishing shows. So, 2023 was a good year.
Good. And what was what's the show? I guess the Virginia shows in the past as we're speaking, but the show currently is the Edison show. Maybe talk about the shows you're coming up. You're going to be out here.
Yeah, we just finished up the Virginia Fly Fishing and Wine Festival, which was fun. And then, coming up this weekend, we'll be at the Edison, New Jersey show. It's the busiest show of the year, 3-day weekend event. And then after that, we're coming back here to my hometown in Seattle in mid-February. And then in early March, we'll be out at Lancaster, New Jersey, or as I'm often corrected, it's Lancaster, if you live there.
All right. Okay.
And I love doing the shows. It's really a great chance to meet people, convince people we really are a real group. We're real people and we're a real company, and I'm not just an online reseller.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's actually people you're seeing those. So you like going to those shows and talking to people. Do you guys, how do you do it? Do you have like a little booth, or what's that look like?
Yeah, we have a booth, and we provide samples of coffee. We're always brewing coffee, and people are welcome to try all they want. And we sell coffee by the bag there. We sell a little bit of our merchandise, hats and mugs, etc. So, and I love it. I really love meeting people in person, getting to talk. We tend to talk more about fishing than we do coffee, but that's fine with me.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. And then you have some updates coming now this year. Maybe talk about that. Did you have some new blends coming, or how's that look?
Yeah, we've got some new things coming down the pike. Couple of new blends and new beautiful that come in beautiful packaging, and we're diverting a little bit away from our pattern of just featuring flies, or usually real traditional flies. And we've come out with a rainbow trout blend, which is a medium roasted, bright, just like the fish, bright coffee. And then we also have a brown trout blend that is a little darker roasted, a little deeper, just like where the fish live. So we're excited about those and hope everyone can give them a chance. And then a fun one is we're also coming out with a new blend that is slightly higher in caffeine, up to about 25% higher. And I can explain how we do that. But we're calling that Stimulator for obvious reasons.
Oh, there you go.
And the package features a beautiful fly tied by our good friend John DeMuth.
Oh, perfect. And so the brown trout, so rainbow trout, brown trout, and then the Stimulator. And so how do you do that with the coffee? Is the caffeine, is that an easy thing to do just to bump up the caffeine?
Oh, yes and no. Historically and traditionally, almost all good coffee, or what we call specialty coffee, consists of a type of coffee bean called Arabica. A lot of people are familiar with Arabicas. There's another type of coffee called Robusta, which historically, well, genetically, it does contain more caffeine, up to about 50% more, or even double the caffeine. But historically, it's not been a very good tasting coffee, and it was usually grown for economic purposes, for roasters, big commercial roasters that wanted to keep the cost down and weren't too concerned about quality. But over the last 10 years, there's been more and more effort into growing much higher quality, much better tasting Robustas. So we've sourced a real special coffee out of India that we match up with some of our Arabica beans out of Central America and roast it a little bit darker. And the result is a surprisingly great tasting coffee that has the extra kicker we call high-octane coffee.
And is this Stimulator coffee more of a darker roast or more of a medium?
It's a medium dark. It's a little bit on the darker side. Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, our darker roasts tend to be our best sellers. But also, this particular blend tends to lend itself better to darker roasting, a little fuller flavor.
Okay. And so this is so you have the Stimulator, and then what is the specialty? Like your coffee is, specialty coffee versus say some of the other types of coffee, because I think yours is really good. I think what you do, maybe you can explain that, how yours maybe is different, why there maybe is a little bit higher cost. Although your coffee, I wouldn't consider like super high cost, because I think coffees aren't cheap, right? Maybe clarify that a little bit.
Yeah, coffee's not cheap. And the better the coffee, the better the quality of the coffee, typically the more it costs. And quality, to end up with a good quality cup of coffee, we have to start with great, how we source our green beans. Coffee's grown all over the world in tropical and subtropical areas. And typically we associate higher quality coffee with higher elevation, requires more agricultural finesse. As a result, not as much of it is produced per acre. As an example, let's say a commercial grade coffee. So that's where we start, and they just cost more. And then roasters like ourselves have to know what they're doing, have to know, be able to figure out what we want from each type of bean and how to roast it so we get the most out of the coffee. And that's a laborious process. But fun. This part I enjoy the most. And then it has to be fresh. So we can't have it sitting around in cans or packages for an extra amount of time. And typically, those are the things that would separate a specialty coffee from more of a commercial grade coffee.
Gotcha. So the coffee that people from anglers is going to be fresh. I mean, and that's something like, how long could it sit around before, say, it wasn't as fresh?
Well, you can start a debate that'll last forever on that topic. We like to think, well, first of all, we use what's called a valve bag package. So we package the coffee fresh out of the roaster. And whenever possible, we ship it direct to the consumer within 1 or 2 days out of the roaster. And coffee, when it comes out of the roaster, the beans come out, they tend to put a gas, or we call gassing off, for about 24 hours. And so coffee needs a rest for those 24 hours. We put it in a package right then. And then that package has a one-way valve, which is designed to keep oxygen out, but let the gases out as well. Escape the bag without letting oxygen in. So inside the bag and unopened, we like to say 60 days, maybe 90 days. for peak freshness. Some of the larger larger roasters out there would say up to a year. I don't buy that. It does tend, coffee's pretty volatile. Once it's open, we like to hope people can consume it within a couple of weeks.
Good. And another one that you have out there. Well, I guess you had a Christmas blend as well, but you also have this Mayfly project cooperate. Talk about that, because we had the Mayfly project on the podcast, Jess, back in episode 194. They got a really cool program. So maybe talk about how that came to be.
Yeah, I was introduced to Jess from the Mayfly project as a possible collaborator. Obviously, they're always looking for ways to fund the incredible efforts they're doing in helping foster kids. And so we talked a little bit, and I thought, well, that sounds like a fun project. So we came up with a proprietary blend for them, a Mayfly coffee. We designed a beautiful label co-branded with our brand and their beautiful, colorful Mayfly logo. And then we matched it up with a tumbler from our friends at Mir, another local supplier. And we're donating essentially 100% of the profits out of the sales of those back to the Mayfly project. And it's been great. The response has been super. We've had the results have been good in terms of volume of sales and the amount we're able to contribute. We're getting great feedback on the coffee and the tumbler. So we're going to try to run that project through probably the end of March, depending on how our supplies last. Our goal is probably by the end of that March, we'll be able to contribute somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 back to the Mayfly project, which is, not a lot of money for a little tiny company like ours. It's pretty good. And the people at Mayfly are super appreciative. And we should be able to put between 10 and 20 kids through the program with that amount of money.
Wow. No kidding. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So this is good. And so if somebody wanted to support this, they could just go to anglerscoffee.com and just, it's kind of on your site there and just purchase. Is that the best way? Just purchase a bag and that supports the Mayfly project?
Yeah, purchase a bag or purchase a tumbler, or better yet, purchase both. And it's real easy. We have it front and center on our website. And we're hoping to do more of these. We've got another one. I'm not able to announce the name yet, but we're going to branch off a little bit in the second quarter, starting in April. And we'll be focusing a little bit more on saltwater fishing, bonefish and tarpon.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Good efforts going on there. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing that one soon.
Perfect. Yeah, I just this morning we had a podcast with a Texas coast lodge on redfish. So we're kind of preparing to hopefully maybe do a redfish trip this year, and we're slowly starting to touch our feet in the salt a little more too as we go. So now on the fishing end, are you? I know you'd like a lot of different things. We've been talking about the still water and things, but what's been keeping you busy on the fishing end recently?
Well, sadly, not enough fishing and too much business. But I recently, in October of last year, I went on a week-long trip to Christmas Island, and which was an amazing experience. I would highly recommend it to anyone that can give it a try. That was, for me, it was not my first, but one of my early shifts into saltwater fishing, and I absolutely loved it. And this winter, I haven't been able to get out and steelhead fish as much as I normally would. I know it's still time. We'll see if I can get out. I've been sitting out in my cold little boat and doing a little stillwater fishing here. Last month, we had a couple of warm days. But I'm also spending time on the fly tying bench as well, Dave.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and I heard that the steelhead up there in Washington, maybe the OP, maybe so far there's a decent amount of fish. So maybe it's going to be a decent return this year.
I've heard that too. I'm looking forward to at least trying to get out and give it a try.
Good. Okay. And as we look back, we've talked about some of this in the past, but I'm just thinking about, as far as maybe talking about how you serve up coffee. I know you got the standard way. You've got a few different ways. Maybe talk about that. You've got the singles. You've got the what are the types of coffee you recommend, both in this types of how you brew it up?
Well, obviously, we've got our full range of whole bean coffees, which we will grind per order as well.
Oh, you will grind them. Yep. Is that what's the deal with that with the grinding? Is that just one of those things where it's just if you do that, it's just not going to be as fresh, and that's the disadvantage of getting you guys to grind it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, without getting too technical, the more surface area that we expose to oxygen, especially, the faster the coffee is going to degrade from peak freshness. I always recommend people grind it right before they brew it, if possible. But, not everyone either has the resources to have or get a grinder, or maybe they just don't like the hassle. So we certainly understand it. And we can grind it for several different brewing methods. We custom grind it just before we ship it, so it arrives as fresh as possible. But again, we always recommend grinding before brewing. But then we've got a full range of whole bean and fresh ground coffee for traditional brewing, such as drip or French press, maybe our AeroPress, which we have. But we also, in addition, we have our steeping pouches, which more is it's a way more convenient way to brew coffee when you're away from a coffee brewer. We've talked about those before. There's just, you brew them like a cup of tea, steeping a bag, but the results are quite impressive. Most people are really surprised how good it is. And then more recently, we came out with K-Cups for the Keurig style brewers in both the medium and the dark roast. I was a little reluctant as a coffee purist. I was a little reluctant to go that direction, but we had a strong demand from our audience, and with a little work with a packaging consultant, we were able to get the product where I felt it was great quality, and where they're fully recyclable. So we're trying to overcome, and we're going to work towards making them compostable once the technology allows us. It's a whole nother world we're working on too. Is we're always looking for ways to become more sustainable, whether it's on the sourcing end of working with good bean agriculture side, all the way through our packaging. And that's an ongoing process. Yeah.
No, it's great. I think that's one of the great things about what you have going. I think you can't talk enough about that. The fact that you're always, trying to get better and better, at sustainability. And that's always a big part of us. And I'm just looking now at the English coffee, the dark roast, the new brown trout, and it is amazing. I mean, the photo, with the fly you have on there, I'm going to send people out here if they want to take a look. It's englishcoffee.com /collection/coffees, and the rainbow too. Those are, so now what is that artwork? Is that somebody, how'd you get those beautiful pieces of art?
I have to give full credit to all of our branding and package design to my business partner, Ken, who's a branding wizard. So he does all the package design, the artwork, and he's a genius.
Yeah, it's really cool because, I mean, your other packages are great too. They got beautiful, the flies, and you have the different colors, the red packaging, the brown. But these are, the brown is just, the whole bag is like kind of has a blurred, outdoor background. And then you got just the bright brown trout eating what looks like, what is that? Like some sort of a dragonfly? I'm not sure. Do you know what the fly is?
I don't, David. I don't even have my screen up, so I can't look at it.
I think it's I'm guessing. I think it might be like it's got the wings, and then the other one, the rainbow's eating what looks like maybe a mayfly or something. So this is really cool. But I'm going to check that out for sure. I'm going to jump on the brown trout. And are those available right now?
They are. We literally just launched them the day before yesterday.
That's so cool. And just on the pricing, I mean, for the one-time deal, $16.50, and then if you subscribe, it's like $14.85, which really, again, for what you're doing with the conservation and everything, is pretty amazing deal. You know what I mean? I think it's quite a bit different than just buying a bag of whatever, right, in the store. Like, I always say that with anglers, the money's going to good causes, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before too. It is a business. We have to try to be somewhat financially responsible, but, I'm not in this for the money. I'm having a blast with the project. We're building a great audience and community out there, which I love. We're doing some good things for the community. So that's all I really care about. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. I think I can't remember if I mentioned, but we had Yvon Chenard on. It took me a little while to finally get him on, but, it was really awesome because I think, I mean, he says the same stuff as you, right? They're always thinking about how do they make it better. He talked about the fleece. I was talking about the R2 Patagonia fleece that I was wearing, and he made note that, hey, did you know that the amount of micro fleece that comes off into the water from the fleece in general, and that they're trying to, work on a new washing machine that takes out 99% of those microfibers.
Wow.
And it sounds like you're kind of always doing the same thing. Like you're always thinking about how do you do this thing a little better. Is that kind of your take on the conservation?
Yeah. I mean, we're always, we want to be a responsible company first and foremost. We touched a little bit about packaging. It's a really good example. It would be real easy for me or the layperson to assume that compostable is always better. And so as we headed down the path of looking for compostable packaging, it turned out to be not that simple. One of the sad facts is that no matter what the bag is made of, there's almost a 90% chance it's going to end up in a landfill.
Right.
Because compostable typically means commercially compostable, which is a specialized process. It's not available everywhere. In fact, it's available in really not very many places. And then we get into recyclable, and that's another mixed bag in terms of coffee packaging. It takes very specialized recycling techniques, which again are just not readily available. So currently we're opting for using post-recycled material, which at least we're taking what already exists and we're using it again. And we found, for the time being anyway, that's our best bet. But we're always looking. We'll always make a move towards whatever's the best at the time.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to put some links to what we talked about here. Definitely get some of these beautiful pieces of art out on the website and on the podcast here. Anything else you want to give a heads up on? I know we talked at the start the festivals. We're going to give a shout out to the Virginia Fly Fishing and Wine Festival. I've been talking to Bo over the last year. He's a very passionate angler, and he's got some cool stuff going. So you're going to have part of your team there, or I guess you had him there. We talked about that at the start, but.
We were just there. That was great. Bo's great. We'll be at the Edison, New Jersey show next, which is third weekend of January. And then from there, we actually come here closer to my hometown here in Seattle. And then after that, we're back out in Lancaster, as I said. So.
Oh, in Lancaster. And then you're hitting Pleasanton too?
No, I don't think we're going to make Pleasanton. I've got a real serious schedule conflict on that one. But we haven't 100% decided, but it doesn't look great.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Okay. Well, anything else you want to give a heads up on for anglers as we look out in 2024 and beyond that we didn't touch on today?
No, I don't think so. I look forward to meeting people out on the water. That's always fun. And, and there's still time to support the Mayfly project. So that's my big push right now. We've got supplies to last, I think, through the end of March or pretty close. So don't wait. Get in there and help the kids out and get a great cup of coffee in the process.
Great. Okay, we'll do that. That'll be the big call to action today is that have people go out, and we'll put a link to the show notes to that. And if they want to listen to the podcast with Jess that we had on, it was an awesome one. Like I said, episode 194 was a couple years ago, but that was a great on the background. They're doing great stuff for foster kids. So good, Joe. I think we'll leave it there for now until the next one, and definitely appreciate the coffee and the good work you're doing, and looking forward to that next episode and keeping in touch.
Sounds great, Dave. Thanks a lot.
That is a wrap. You can grab all of the show notes at wetflyswing.com, and please follow us on Instagram and share this episode out with someone you love. Please send me an email, dave@wetflyswing.com, if you have any feedback or want us to put together an episode on this podcast for you. Check in anytime. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and would love to meet up with you on the water. We have new fly fishing schools going all year long and all around the country, so if you want to connect, let's do it right now. All right, time to get out of here. I hope you have a great evening. I hope you have a great morning or great afternoon wherever in the world you are, and I appreciate you for stopping by and checking out the show today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.